My name is Dylan. This is my first real YouTube video. I made a vlog about a year ago, but this is the start of my YouTube journey for real. Now it's something that I really want to do. Before, when I started, it was something that a lot of people told me I should try, and I really wasn't in the right mindset to start it and pursue something like that. But now this is my YouTube journey, the start of it for real. I would like to preface this video by saying that I have no idea how to make videos. I downloaded a software to edit videos, and it's extremely confusing. But that's why I'm here. I want to learn, and I want to put some time in and figure out how to do all this and how it works, because videos have always been something that's really cool to me, and I feel like there's messages that you can communicate with videos. You know, not like this where I'm like talking to a video, but there's videos I've seen that just communicate something that you just really can't communicate with words, and I would like to learn that skill and have that skill. So when I started writing, not only for this video but for my channel as a whole, I wanted to try to come up with some kind or sort of category that I could, you know, reference this under, so that it would be relatable or findable, I guess, to more people that would, you know, be intrigued by this sort of content. But after thinking about it, I came to the realization and the acceptance that that's not who I am as a person, so I don't want that to be the representation of me through this channel. So by not putting a category or a genre on this, I feel like I'm allowing myself the freedom and not limiting myself to post a certain brand of things. And that allows a lot of enthusiasm for myself, you know, the excitement to be able to create something new that maybe I've never tried before. It's something that I want to embrace and be able to embody through this. And I feel like this is a creative outlet for myself, and that I can create and make things. And I feel like if I put, you know, that sort of genre or category on myself, then I'm limiting what I can post. And I don't feel like I'll be as excited about things that if I don't put that limit on myself. Now that I've explained myself a little bit, I would like to get into the content of why I started filming and writing for this video, and that is the power of perspective. The way with which you see the world makes all the difference in the world. You know, recently I had gone through, you know, a lot of things in the last, you know, 6-8 months that, you know, really made life challenging for me. And, you know, until lately, I was looking at all those things and I was like, you know, why are all these things happening to me? And lately I have altered and switched my perspective to understand that things aren't happening to me, but rather they're happening for me. There are hundreds of quotes that convey the same idea, that it's in times of difficulty, in times of uncomfortability, that we as people grow the most. Yeah, things that are really hard, things that make us really uncomfortable, things that make us desperate, are the times with which we grow the most. An experience that is difficult, that pushes you to your limits, oftentimes pushes you beyond your previously thought limits. Things that will help you grow as a person oftentimes are some of the hardest things that we go through as people. In the moment, we don't realize how important those times are, and we oftentimes look at them as what they are, as an innately bad experience or bad timing or bad thing. But not all things that are innately bad are actually bad. Oftentimes it is in retrospect that we can look back and say, man, if I wouldn't have gotten fired from that job, I never would have been looking for a job to find, you know, my dream job now. But understanding the importance of bad things happening to you, things that suck when you go through them, it's important for your development, and it helps you grow. And oftentimes when you go into it with a positive mindset, you can change how bad that situation sucks for you. Now this kind of takes me into the idea of dealing with problems and how to tackle and approach problems in life. For me, I like games and I like competing, and, you know, recently, as in 3 months recently, you know, 3 months ago, we started playing ping pong, my buddy Nate and I. And he was whooping me. I'd never played before. He's pretty good. And I get up there every time. He's just crushing me. And I played 2 games back to 21. And he beats me both times. And finally, I started picking the game apart. I started seeing it from different angles. I watched the way that Nate was hitting the ball, and the way that he would put spin on it, the way that he would attack certain positions and, you know, get me on my heels. And I started approaching the game with a different perspective. Instead of trying to hit the ball as hard as I could or try to, you know, do some crazy fancy stuff, I was just trying to put the ball on a certain spot every time, consistently. Before you know it, 2-3 games later in the same day, I'm all of a sudden sticking with him, you know? And I mean, saying that, you know, pretty lightly. I mean, he was still kicking my tail, but I was able to stay in the game. And staying in the game's half the battle. Now I can put myself in a position to win. And with that, I was able to start putting balls where I wanted to, putting them in tougher spots. And by the end of the day, I was neck and neck, and we were going into, win by 2, so he was beating me like 23-21, and it wasn't always me getting my tail whooped. Now, unfortunately, this Corona thing happened, and we haven't gotten to go back since, so I can really put the whooping on him. But if I would have continued trying to smash the ball, if I would have continued trying to do really tough things, I would have been stuck in that same mindset of losing and not being able to put the ball where I wanted to eventually. By changing the way I saw the game and understanding that I can learn from him as he's whooping me, and I can use it against him here in a second when I can start mastering some of these skills. But the lesson that I want to be learned from that is that a lot of times, and I'm guilty of it, with homework, I approach it like it's a mountain. I get to the laptop, I open up my Safari, I go to Blackboard on Kent, and I look up at the mountain of homework, and I'm like, this sucks. I'm never gonna be able to do it. But I've learned lately, it's taken me some time. Believe me, it's taken me a lot of time. But instead of looking up the mountain and seeing how hard it would be to climb it straight up, I've started looking that there's a little path that wraps around the mountain to the top. Now that's a lot easier. It's a walk in the park. Not literally, because we're talking about a mountain, but the idea is that changing the way you look at it can oftentimes make it a lot easier for you to accomplish. Rather than looking at it as a whole, I like to try to break it down. We don't look at long-term goals as, well, I go to college and then I graduate and I'm a CEO. And there's a lot of things in between that. And that's how we look at long-term goals. But as far as long-term, that's a relative description of a goal. And the same thing goes for your homework. I think a lot of times we get into a situation where this is only going to take us a couple hours, and we look at it, as a short-term thing where we just do it and it gets done. But a lot of times, if you look at it as if it was a long-term goal with many steps and parts to the procedure, we can really make it a lot easier on ourselves and feel like we have momentum and feel accomplished. For me, I'm working on an art final right now. It's a paper, and it's a 6-page description of what's required. Now, I printed it out and I looked at it, and in all reality, there's only 2 pages that matter. There's only 2 pages. And I've broken it down so that I can see each individual paragraph that I'm responsible for, what is supposed to be included in that paragraph, and what is included in the cover page, how many sources I'm responsible for. And then all of a sudden, this 5-6 page, this daunting homework, this final that I'm responsible for, is not so hard at all. And it's really easy. And now with that, new learned perspective of the assignment, it's a walk in the park. And that's literally because I could walk in the park and then finish that assignment now, because I've been able to break it down into something that I can feel accomplished with. When I do a paragraph or two, all of a sudden I feel like I have some momentum and I don't feel so discouraged. I feel like, wow, I got the 2 things done, now I only have 10 more. Rather than like looking at it like, oh my gosh, I just started, there's still so much left. When you break it down into like little individual goals to achieve, it becomes a lot easier to tackle the task as a whole when you look at it as little parts rather than like one big whole part. And this same idea can be applied to the quarantine that we're going through. A lot of people are bored. A lot of people are really needing that human interaction that we're missing out on right now. But if you take time to look at it as if it's prison, then it's gonna feel like prison. It's gonna feel like you're stuck with no liberties and freedoms. But if you change the way you see it into something that's liberating, where you have the freedom to sit inside and be able to work on the things that you've never thought you had time for, like starting a YouTube channel or starting a podcast, then all of a sudden it doesn't seem so bad. It doesn't seem so difficult to go through. Try to see what this quarantine and this situation that we're going through now allows you the freedoms to try and to do. Maybe it's spending time with family that you really typically don't get to. Maybe you're an out-of-state college student and now you're back home and you're spending time with your parents that, you don't understand how valuable it is, because you're out of state for college and, you're home for maybe 3 to 4 months a year. But after college, you're really going to be without those people for a long, you're starting your career. You might have a house or an apartment, and you might not see those people as frequently as you wish you could. And now you're given, the opportunity to spend some really quality time with the people that raised you that you're not going to have again. So try to look at it and, make value or see the value in the situation rather than feeling like it's an imprisonment. And I hope I've included some perspectives and some ideas with which you can use this kind of idea to change the way you see things so that it becomes not so bad or a more easily accomplishable task for you. But there's a beauty in which I'm trying to allow you to have with being able to alter your own perspective. I don't want to limit your creative thoughts by providing so many examples that you can only think within this box. I want you to have all of the freedom in the world to be able to see your problems and see your world the way you want to. And with that freedom, I hope that you're able to feel liberated by certain things that otherwise felt like imprisonments. So this is gonna wrap it up for my first real start to my YouTube channel, my first YouTube video. This is my humble beginning. I have my phone taped to my monitor right now, as it's the best place for me to be able to hold my camera and be able to keep a consistent camera view for myself. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you would please like and subscribe, that helps me out immensely. This is a learning process for me, so I'm hoping to get better as time goes on. So bear with me here. I appreciate all of the time that you guys have given me, and you guys have a wonderful day.